He's Kweku in the best mood of his life. Still so much on the way for you. A bit later, we're going to be talking about the cult heroes from the Champions League. The boys from the Cultures Football Podcast are going to tell us about their favourite Gazpromsmen. We've had Barclaysmen, we're now going for Gazpromsmen. All the classy and Hunterlars of this world. We're also going to talk about some comments from Alan Shearer, who said that being England captain was more important to him than winning any trophy. All of that plus in just a moment. Should Cole Palmer leave Chelsea? Here we go. This is The Social on talkSPORT 2.
The Social.
Oh, Kweku, Chelsea. A bit earlier in the show, you were talking about how you're very apathetic towards the rest of the season as a Chelsea fan. I want to ask you about Cole Palmer, because yesterday on the show we had the great Mr. Rory Jennings on, who obviously he does sometimes ruffle the feathers of a few Chelsea supporters.
Sometimes.
But he was talking about the general direction of the club. He was saying that the ownership don't really look at buying players because they want to improve this Chelsea team. He said that they're looking to buy these players because they're young, they have potential, they can sell them for more money, and then they can make money out of it, essentially. They're using Chelsea as a vehicle just for that. He also then said that there's a manager in place at the moment who he sees as distinctly average. You know, he's come from the Championship. He doesn't give his players any freedom, and that's actually by his own admission, because he said in recent press conferences, well, Fernandes, is playing it backwards. That's what I want him to do. If he plays a different ball, he's coming off the pitch. He is that dogmatic in what he wants to see from his team. And then it raises a question for me about Palmer, because he's gone 10 games without a goal now, and Rory made the point that once again Chelsea could miss out on getting into the Champions League, and Palmer is the kind of talent that absolutely should be playing in that kind of competition. Should he be leaving Chelsea? And I know you don't want him to because you're a Chelsea fan, but in your eyes, should he be leaving Chelsea because of the way the club is at the moment?
I've said this before, he's such an ambitious player, and you saw that come to the fore when Chelsea beat Southampton a couple of weeks ago. He missed a host of chances. Chelsea won that game, but then he put out on Instagram, "Oh, don't worry guys, I'll be back," which is a weird post to put out when your team wins, which suggests that not only does he look at the team results, but he looks at his individual game, which is what all the greats do. As a Chelsea fan, I'm never going to sit here and say Cole Palmer should leave Chelsea, but I'd be naive to think that he wouldn't have his head turned by huge European clubs if Chelsea don't qualify for the Champions League. He's a player that we got very lucky with. When we brought him in last season, nobody expected this, even the owners. Got him for 40 mil off Man City. There was articles written about it being one of the worst signings of the summer. And didn't start his first Chelsea game until the 1st of October and still scored 22 league goals. And so we struck gold with Cole Palmer, which you sometimes have to do when you're a new ownership group. But he's a player that he deserves to play at the highest level consistently year in, year out. Chelsea won in the Champions League last season. We're not in Champions League this season. Currently, it looks like we're in the contention to qualify for Champions League, but it's not a guarantee. I don't know. I think that it's very interesting in those anywhere from 3rd down to 10th. Like any of those teams could qualify for Champions League.
It's a tough run in for Chelsea.
It's a very tough run in. But I look at Cole Palmer as the player that signed a new contract earlier this season. That it'll be very difficult for a domestic side to prize them away. But if one of those top European clubs puts down a hefty offer, I wouldn't be surprised to see the ownership group entertain it, because they are businessmen at the end of the day. What I will say
and
is
they could make a killing off it.
They could make a killing. The criticism that you can level at Chelsea's ownership group, you could have levelled at FSG before they appointed Jurgen Klopp. An ownership group that don't really... It didn't look like their intentions was to make Liverpool the best football club in the world. Their intention was to make money and be sustainable. But they brought in an incredible manager who changed the fortunes of one of the biggest clubs in the country. I talked about international football being a player's game. Players have to take the onus and take it upon themselves to win games, win tournaments. Club football is very much a manager's game. And if you appoint the right manager, they can take you to lofty heights. Eddie Howe took over a Newcastle side that were close to rock bottom in the Premier League, and now you've won a trophy, finished in the top 4 a couple of seasons ago. You're a very, very good side, and so appointing the right manager can change the fortunes of a football club. For me, I don't think Enzo Maresca is the right manager, and so if you haven't got the right man in the dugout, you're not going to win major trophies. And I think we've seen that come to fore this season. Even the way that he's talked about Chelsea and how he's kind of downplayed us as a football club, saying that earlier in the season he said the remit was not to finish in the Champions League this year. The goal is to qualify for Champions League next year. He reneged on that and changed his mind, and now says, yeah, we need to qualify for Champions League this year.
Yeah, I think he's been a bit clumsy.
But it has been clumsy, and ultimately, I don't want to disrespect the man because he has done a fairly good job for his first season in the Premier League, but he is a championship manager. He was managing the championship last season. He hasn't got top level experience. And so for me as a Chelsea fan that wants to see my side win things, I don't think that Enzo Maresca is going to be the man to lead us to silverware.
Well, let's hear from the former Chelsea midfielder, John Obi Mikel, who was on Drive yesterday. He was asked about Maresca and whether Chelsea can win the league under him.
I hope to believe so, because I quite like him. I think he's a really good manager. Yeah, I think what he's done with the club in a short space of time, I think there is an identity there now, the way we want to play. But I think, like he said there, I think when you want to win the Premier League, you need a top goalkeeper. And I don't think we have that. We need to get a top goalkeeper, and we need another top striker to help Nicholas Jackson. I think he's done brilliantly. He's done really, really well, Nicholas Jackson. But you see, now he's injured. We don't have an injured striker. He needs competition. He needs somebody else who's going to be there, maybe lead the line. I don't think he's that guy now to lead our front line.
It's interesting, that, isn't it, John? I hope you can almost keeping the faith there. One question I've got for you is, are we being a bit too quick to judge Maresca here? No. Do we need to give him a bit more time? You look at that Arteta project at Arsenal, and there were times when Arsenal fans were unbelievably frustrated. 2 8th place finishes, and I know there was silverware in between that, but having given him a bit of time as a young coach, which Maresca still is, and has come from that same kind of Pep Academy as Arteta, by the way. Is there scope for Chelsea to have a bit more faith in Maresca, and their fans have a bit more faith in Maresca, and see where it leads? Projects
aren't a real thing in football. There's unique cases. I think Arteta's a unique case. He took over an Arsenal team that were on their knees. The fan base really didn't vibe with Unai Emery. He won the FA Cup in his first season, which bought him a lot of time. They finished 8th in that season, finished 8th the season after. But he's a former player, and there's a very unique situation. There's COVID as well, and he's been given time. And I think a lot of clubs look at that as the blueprint. But when you are dealing with top football clubs across the continent, there's no notion of, we'll give him time. If it's not working at Real Madrid, manager goes instantly. If it's not working at Barcelona, manager goes instantly. Same at Bayern Munich, same at the top football clubs in the world.
Chelsea used to be the prime example of that.
Used to be the example of that. And I think as a Chelsea fan who's seen managers come in and win league titles in their first season, a la Conte, Jose Mourinho, Ancelotti, won league titles in their first season. I've seen Roberto Di Matteo lift the Champions League. I've seen Rafa Benitez win the Europa League. I've seen Maurizio Sarri in his first season win the Europa League. It does take time in football to build a functioning team that can go and dominate for years and years and years, but time's not a real thing when it comes to top football clubs. You need to hit the ground running. Eddie Howe hit the ground running. I know that it's a different case at Newcastle. He was going to be given time because of where you were at, but you saw an instant impact. You saw an instant impact when Unai Emery came to Aston Villa. Unfortunately, in this country, we're beholden to the idea of managers being there for a lengthy amount of time because of Alex Ferguson, because of Arsene Wenger. But realistically, that doesn't happen at top football clubs. I think you have to come and hit the ground running. I've seen that before. And also, one thing I will say is that next season I think it's going to be the most open title race that we've seen in a very, very long time.
Do you think Chelsea could be involved with it if they don't have Maresca?
Newcastle could be involved in it if they make the right signings and keep Isak. Chelsea, I think, should be involved in it. Arsenal definitely should be involved in it. Liverpool will be involved in it, but they're going to be a very different Liverpool side. Man City are rebuilding as well. It's going to be very open, akin to the seasons like 2016 when Leicester won the league, or 2017 when Chelsea won the league. No one expected those teams to win the league. At the beginning of the season, you couldn't call who was going to win the league. And Conte in his first season with Victor Moses and Marcus Alonso playing as wing-backs won the Premier League. I understand that Man City have been incredibly dominant, but they're not the same Man City side. Liverpool are going to look very different next season as well.
I don't know, though. Man City with Rodri back.
I get it.
Completely different beast.
I understand it, but next season there's an opportunity for a team, if they make the right signings and got the right manager in the dugout, to make a real push for this title. And I think Chelsea under Maresca won't be in that position because unfortunately he hasn't got the minerals for the job.
But the thing is, right, and John Obi Mikel actually pointed this out. As much as we can blame Maresca here, it's also been poor recruitment from Chelsea. The goalkeeper situation is ridiculous. ridiculous.
But you can't
You've
have
got
it
about
both
12 on
ways,
the
though.
books, and Sanchez is your best goalkeeper.
But you can't have it both ways, because after Chelsea beat Southampton in like November or December time, Chelsea fans, away fans, were singing, "We've got our Chelsea back." Now results have gone awry. Chelsea fans are singing, "We want our Chelsea back." So when in November people were lauding the fact that we've made great signings, Caicedo, despite the fact we paid a lot of money, is a great signing. Cole Palmer's a great signing. Nicholas Jackson scoring goals. We got him for a minimal fee from Villarreal. We were lauding the recruitment 2 or 3 months ago.
Not the goalkeeper.
Not the goalkeeper.
Ever.
Not the goalkeeper. I understand that. But teams have flaws, and that was something that we're going to have to improve in the summer. But people were lauding the business Chelsea had done when we were pushing Liverpool at the top of the league. And now we're not getting results. All of a sudden, the recruitment's poor. I think it's on the manager, personally, and I don't think he's good enough. I think that we've got a very talented young squad. Obviously, haven't got leaders, haven't got experienced winners. But I think that if we make the right signings and have the right manager in the dugout, there's no reason why next season Chelsea shouldn't be pushing for silverware.
Do you feel with Maresca that he's almost already been worked out? And that you can't see the kind of shoots of improvement from him?
My frustration from Maresca tactically is the lack of use of fullbacks. Our wingers get criticised, and rightly so, because they have underperformed this season, but they get no help from overlapping wing-backs. The reason why Mo Salah has been Mo Salah and been absolutely incredible for the last 6 or 7 years, he's got Trent giving you the option of making the overlap or the underlap. Chelsea's full-backs tuck in, and so your wingers are very isolated, and they're essentially taking on 2 defenders. And Maresca's stubborn in the fact that he won't change the system, and Leicester fans warned us about it. They said he's very stubborn, he'll stick to what he does, and they almost didn't get promoted last year. I know they ended up winning the league, but it was a lot closer than it should have been based on the talent of their squad. And I just look at the way that he's talked, the way that he's managed Chelsea this season, how poor we've been in the biggest games. Yet again, Chelsea have gone through a season where we haven't beaten Man City away from home. Man City, who were terrible, by the way, haven't beaten Arsenal away from home, haven't beaten Liverpool away from home. If you want to be a top team, you've got to go and get results in those games. We've seen Ruben Amorim, who's in charge of a very poor Man United side, go and get results away from home against those sides. And Chelsea haven't done that. So, unfortunately, I like Maresca. I like the cut of his jib. I think he's a nice guy. But is he a winner? Is he somebody that can lead Chelsea to glory? I don't think so.
Yeah, you're not going to beat Newcastle away from home either, are you?
No, we're just not there, mate. I'm just.
This was meant to cheer you up, Kweku.
Was it?
Got nowhere near.
You're trying to sell Cole Palmer. It's supposed to cheer me up. Get out of there.
Oh, brilliant. My final question for you on this then is Enzo Maresca, easy for me to say, going to be there at the end of this season?
Yes.
Do you think?
Yes.
And then into the new season?
Yes.
You think they'll stick with it?
They gave him a 5-year contract.
Oh, my word.
But the thing is, my problem is Pochettino, and I know it wasn't strictly a case of him getting sacked. They kind of parted ways, but he finished 6th and lost his job. If Enzo Maresca barely improves on that and finishes 6th, I think he should lose his job. But it seems like this ownership group are very invested in him. I'm not saying he's a puppet, but he says the right things, and they seem to like him. And I'm just not with it. I'm a Chelsea fan that's seen managers come in, hit the ground, win trophies. He's not one of those guys.
Yeah, poor you. Poor you. You've gone a few years without a trophy. Is it hard?
It is hard. It is hard.
Yeah.
Look at you.
Sorry,
Look at you, Ollie. After winning one, after winning one Carabao Cup.
Most recent winners.
Yeah,
most
fair
recent
play
winners.
to you.
And I'm going to celebrate it. I'm going to be at the
As you
Town Wall.
should.
I'm going to be watching the full highlights in the Town Wall. I can't wait for it. I cannot wait for it. This is the talkSPORT 2 Social with William Hill, 18+, be gamble aware.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.